Well, good morning, everyone. It's really wonderful to see all of you. Thank you so much for coming today and spending this beautiful spring day with us. It's been a long time since I've been up here. I realize it's been a whole month. We've just had so many activities happening and so many exciting things. We had a guest speaker for Easter. And then the week after that, my family was in Missouri. We were visiting my parents, and we saw the solar eclipse. And then we came back and had the youth service. And so it's been a while. But in that month of time where I was not speaking, I actually appreciated the opportunity to just kind of sit back and observe and really appreciate all the love that is surrounding me and in this community. And I realized that actually so much of our support and so much love that we receive really comes from our elders, from our aunts and uncles, our parents. And I wanted to share about that. I saw that in so many ways over the past few weeks. It's interesting every time we go to Missouri, my house is kind of like a petting zoo, okay? We've got 2 guinea pigs, and we have a rabbit, and we have a cat, and then I have all these plants now. It's springtime, so I've got all these seedlings that need to be like watered and taken out into the sunshine every day and be brought back in the cold of night. And now my youngest daughter has a snake, and if we were to pay a pet, like a house sitter to come, it's a lot of work to take care of clean out the cages, make sure everybody's fed, make sure the plants are watered and they don't freeze at night. And we almost take it for granted, but Mike's parents will do that for us every single time, anytime we go anywhere. And not only do they, yes, let's give them a round of applause. And not only do they do it, they really do it with care. Our pets just love them. Whenever they see Mike's dad walk in, Paloma, our cat, is just like, hello, hi, I know you're a source of love, And it's such a blessing for us because it makes it so easy for us to go and do things without stress and to go visit my family. And I realized that a lot of the love we receive from our elders is kind of like this. We aren't actually present to see all of the work that they're doing. We only get the benefits of it by being able to be free. Or we come home and the plants have grown and the animals are still alive, So we see these benefits, but we don't actually see all the work that goes into it and how much time it takes and how much effort it takes. And I think that a lot of the times, the love that we receive from our elders is like that. I also had the blessing of spending time with my parents in Missouri, which was really wonderful. They're in their 70s now. And I have a kind of funny story. If you've noticed, my daughter has a new hairstyle the last couple months. She has the shaved side of her head. And I have to say I was hesitant to do it for her. I wasn't really thrilled about the idea, but she has been wanting this haircut for over a year. And when she gets her mind set on something, and if she doesn't let go of it after a month or two, I know she's serious. Same thing with a snake, right? We have a snake because she didn't let go of the idea. So finally I was like, okay, I'll do your haircut, but after Christmas, okay? After our family photos, after we go visit my parents, I don't want to shock anybody. So we did her hairstyle, but we still have to go visit my parents, So we went this spring break, and I have memories growing up of any time that I wore something that was even slightly provocative or, did my hair weird, I would always get a comment from my dad. Like I could always expect it. And sometimes I didn't even expect it because I didn't think I was wearing anything weird. But usually he would make some kind of a comment and it would usually result in me going and changing my clothes. So I have to say I was a little bit hesitant to see what my dad would say to my daughter's hairstyle. But I tell you, the grandparents' love is really different from parents' love. we pulled up, and Annalise jumps out of the car and is super excited to be there. And my dad goes, Annalise, I really like your hair. And he like pats it so nicely, and I'm like, who is this? And he genuinely just accepted her and loved it, and she just was like, this is where I belong, and she could fully be herself, and it opened the door for her to learn how to go fishing. She had never done fishing really before, but he spent a lot of time with her fishing this time. She caught so many fish, and they shared a really special time together that really just warmed my heart, and also showed me that there's a difference between my dad as a dad and my dad as a grandfather. So I have a few quotes to start off with. The first quote is from the Bible. It's from 1 Timothy chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. And this quote says, "Do not rebuke an older man harshly, but exhort him as if he were your father. Treat younger men as brothers, older women as mothers, and younger women as sisters with absolute purity." And so this is kind of saying that even if people are not your immediate family, our role is to love them as if they were. And there's a quote from, oh, here it is. There you are. Thank you so much. And I found a quote from our founder, True Father, which is, I think, very similar. "There are 3 great family kingships which all people desire to attain. Grandparents, representing God, are the kings of the past. Parents, representing worldwide families, are kings of the present. And children represent the future and are kings of the future. When you attend your grandparents, you are attending God and the spirit world. When you attend your parents, you are loving all the families of the world. And when you love and attend your children, you are loving all the future. Thus, in the ideal family, we find the kingship of the heavenly world, the kingship of this world, and the kingship of the future world." So this is actually part of our family pledge. You know, if you come to our Holy Day celebration on Saturday, we'll recite our family pledge, which is 8 simple, short points. And it's actually, I find, not so easy to connect to sometimes when reciting it, because it's so much condensed into these 8 short little points. In this part, one of the particular points, it says we pledge to perfect the 4 great realms of heart and the 3 great kingships. But there's no explanation of that, right? So if you don't spend the time or have the context, you just kind of run through the points. But the 3 great kingships is simply this, of loving. I love how it includes the grandparents. The 4 great realms of heart are to love relationship of parent and child, like loving your parents, right? Loving your siblings, loving your spouse, and loving your children. It's like these 4 realms. But the 3 great kingships encompasses even more and brings in the value of our 3 generations, the value of our grandparents. And so our grandparents represent God in the spirit world. They represent where we come from, the origin, right, in the past. And we couldn't be doing, actually, what I want to talk about next is when we were in Missouri, I had the opportunity to read a book. And I don't read very many books. I maybe read 1 book a year, but I had to read a book for school, and so I read this book. It's called The Gardener and the Carpenter. And the basic idea of this book is that we who are in relationship with children, who are responsible for children, who are creating an environment for children, need to see ourselves more as gardeners than carpenters. A carpenter has a very specific goal in mind when they make something. And they're more focused on whittling away or taking away the parts that they don't want and don't like so that they're left with exactly what they had envisioned in their mind. Whereas a gardener focuses on enriching the soil and creating an environment for seeds to grow just as they were designed to grow. But they might not grow exactly as we were expected them to grow, right? But they will be beautiful in their own way. But anyway, the whole book is very interesting, but there was a really cool section in this book which talked about the crucial and very specific and irreplaceable role of the grandparents. And this book really comes from more of a scientific perspective, talks about evolution and genetics and everything. I can immediately replace all of this with God's design, so it doesn't make any difference to me. But did you know that human beings are the only species in the whole world where the female reaches menopause and lives past it? The only species. All other species either mate and reproduce until they die, or reach menopause and die shortly after. But humans are the only ones where there's a grandmother with a very specific purpose of grandmothering her grandchildren. Because human babies require so much love and attention and care because they have so much growing to do. And not only, the point of this book was that not only do we need to learn and become like our parents, but human children need to grow and learn and adapt everything that they learned from their parents and their grandparents, and then they also innovate and they create something new and they grow beyond that. And with that extended long childhood, they need lots and lots of care, and parents are not meant to do that all by themselves. It really brought home for me, like this 3 great kingships thing, this 3-generational thing that True Father talks about is really so unique in terms of faith. I don't hear any other religions talking about this like very important role of grandparents. They might say, respect your elders, but they don't make it like one of the crucial points. Like it's in our family pledge, one of those, like our whole faith condensed into 8 points includes this very special role of our grandparents. I feel like science is proving the exact same thing. And I have to say that, Mike and I couldn't do what we were doing without the role of our elders and support of our community as well. Just this past weekend, we were up in Estes Park. Our family and Yoshi's family were able to go to Estes Park. We just came back this morning. But the only reason we could go was because our friend Poppy, actually our elder Poppy Ritchie, discovered that Estes Park has a special deal for pastors and their families and for single parents, so where you can go and they really take care of you. It's like so affordable and all the food is included. And we were trying to estimate like how much would it cost for us to lodge 6 people, 6 meals, 3 times a day, 18 meals, like how much would it cost for our family to spend 2 nights and have 5 meals? We feel like we couldn't do it. But I feel like, once again, it's this unseen love and support. Even though Poppy isn't going to do this, right? She's not benefiting from it, but she is supporting us by making these opportunities known for us and saying, you should go, you should take care of your family. We have our elders group organizing date night. It's really one of the most wonderful things that our elders do. And again, it's one of those things where we're not seeing them do the work. We drop off our kids, we disappear, we have a lovely time as couples, and we come back and our kids are happy and tired. But we don't see them deal with the tantrums of the little babies, and we don't see them running around trying to engage the kids in Nerf wars and all the effort that it takes to take care of small children, right? We just get that wonderful, warm benefit. And I feel like it would be so easy for elders to say, oh, well, this is how we did it, and you should do it this way, right? Because they have so much experience and so much wisdom and so much knowledge. Or it would be so easy for them to look at one of our ideas. And Mike has so many ideas. I'm usually the one who's shutting them down. But not our elders. It would be so easy for them to look at us and say, no, that's not going to work. Yeah, no. But we never hear that. We always get support and maybe a slight adjustment of a suggestion. But really, we've had nothing but encouragement and grace from our elders in this community. Here's a quote this is from the 10 Commandments. Honor your father and your mother so that you may live long in the land the Lord your God is giving you. I feel like we always hear, honor your father and your mother. But there's also more to it, that when we really live in harmony with our parents and our grandparents, that there's like an inheritance there, and there's a continuity there that extends not just for this moment, but we may live long in this peace and prosperity, and we can pass it on to our children. I have a couple more quotes from our founder. The grandfather symbolizes the past. The subject partner of the past ages is heaven, the spirit world. The grandfather can be called the representative who connects the spirit world with the earth. He is God's ambassador who connects God and all good things in heaven to his family on earth. That's the grandfather. It's the connecting point. Who is the ambassador for the kingdom of heaven? It is a grandfather. And here's another one. If you want to make a good family, then help the parents, the children, and the grandchildren unite in heart. And I really feel like that's such a beautiful part of our community and our elders group, is that we're creating an environment where we can help families to do this. It's not always easy to do this, and we'll see as we go with the quote, but we're creating an environment where it's conducive to family harmony. No matter what complicated problems occur in that family, the parents' love for their children and the grandparents' love for the grandchildren will not change. You have to set up this absolute standard. Go beyond a fragmented personal view of life and beyond the environment, and adopt a four-directional perspective. So I really love this quote because, our founder, True Father, was very absolute and very idealistic. And so we hear a lot about the four great realms of heart and the three great kingships. But he's also very real. And so he acknowledges in this quote that it isn't always easy to make harmony among the generations. There are complicated problems. And yet these difficulties come from, what does he say? A fragmented personal view of life. Our difficulties come from our own personal, limited perspectives, more self-centered, and they may come from our parents' own limited, selfish perspectives. These happen. And yet he's saying it's still worthwhile, right? It's still worthwhile to strive for this relationship where we can all be a part of each other's lives. So my call to action for you this week is, if you have parents who are grandparents, what is something you can do this week to make a connection between your parents and your children? I actually read through so many amazing quotes. I couldn't share them all, but I do want to share the gist of several that I read. I read a whole section of quotes that True Father was talking about why parents start to lose their memory as they get older. And I know that for myself, I can find it frustrating when I'm telling my mom my plans for the summer, and she's like, oh, really? You're going to come on that day? I'm like, yes, Mom, I told you like twice already. We're coming on June 4th. But your father was saying, actually, there's a purpose. There's a reason why elders start to lose their memory. Can you believe it? We think it's a problem, right? Like it's frustrating, it's annoying. It feels like you're losing something. But actually, he's saying older people start to lose their memory because they start to let go of all the extraneous, not that important details in life. And they really start to focus in on love. All they really care about is seeing their children and their grandchildren. And they become more like a child. And they do that so that the grandchildren can become close friends. The grandparents and grandchildren can become close friends. And that like cements God's love in your family, right? That relationship of the grandparent becoming close friends with their grandchildren actually allows God's pure love to like go directly into your lineage and your family. When, parents, like Mike and I are always like, the kids are like, oh, we want to do something. I'm like, well, let's look at the calendar. Let's see, okay, maybe in 2 months we could go to Lakeside Amusement. This morning, Annalise was like, I want to go to that big white roller coaster. And I was like, well, we got plans for like the next 4 months, so maybe before school starts we could squeeze it in. But I feel like if my daughter were to say that to my grandmother, she'd be like, okay, well, let's go tomorrow, And then we'd have to rearrange all of our plans to make it work. But but there's, it's really just part of the course of life. And our grandparents play a very specific role that nobody else can fill. Our elders fill, you don't have to have grandchildren to play a grandparental role either. Right, with any child or small children. I know when we first moved here to Denver, the twins were 5 and Mia was just 2.5. And at that point, Mia was a leech to me. Anytime there was any other person who was not part of our family in the room, I was holding her like 24/7. However, Dave Mahardy and Christine were just like, every time we saw them, he would make effort to like make eye contact with her, give her a fist bump, and say hi. And he was the first person to kind of crack this little like hermit ball. And even now, anytime they see each other, it's like fist bump. Hey, how's it going? So even though Dave Mahardy is not my parent, right? He became a grandparent in a way to my kids, which allowed them to feel comfortable and to feel like this is home too. So, call to action for grandparents. If you are a grandparent, or if you have somebody in your life that you can relate to in a grandparentally way, I encourage you to not let time pass by without reaching out. I know that this modern life is not like the way it used to be, right? And a couple hundred years ago, 3 generations always lived together. They're always part of each other's lives, always watching the small children so the parents could work in the fields or whatever it was. And so it's a little, and also families are so separated, right? Like my parents don't live here. Many of you, your children are spread out across the entire world. And so it's not easy. I feel like grandparents really want to do this, but it's not always easy. But still, find a way, whether it's through Zoom calls or sending little cards. I still remember all the cards my grandmother would send. My grandmother lived in upstate New York, and I would only see her once a year. But for our birthdays, she would always send a card, handwritten, with some money. Don't forget to send a little money. And actually, whenever I'm handwriting, every once in a while, I'll slip into my grandmother's handwriting. It's so interesting. I'll be writing, and all of a sudden I'll be like, that's my grandmother's handwriting I'm writing with. And I feel like it's because just receiving those cards had an impact on my spirit and on my heart. So don't underestimate the impact you can have, even if you're not living together, even if you don't see them every week, right? Please make the effort to share God's love with your children and your grandchildren. So that's my message for today, but I really hope that you can be reassured that our elders are not just kind of the past, but they're actually God's channel of love to our present and our future. And that we really wouldn't be able to do the things that we're doing, like my generation, without the support of our parents and our elders. Even though many times it goes unseen, many times we just get the benefits of it. You know, our elders are often the ones who are cleaning the church kitchen after church. They're the ones prepping the coffee. Okada-san's always got the camera going. These are all things that if we didn't have, things wouldn't run smoothly. But it's so easy to just be like, oh yeah, this is church, it works, you know. But it's because of the support of people who care and our elders that we really get to experience this wonderful Sunday service together. So I'm sure if you take a moment to reflect on your own life, we can remember that we're not just an island. We're not just doing things our own, but we are only here because we have parents who gave birth to us and who loved us the best they could, even if it's not perfect. And we can learn lessons from that to do better for our own children and grandchildren when we get to that point. So please join me in prayer. Heavenly Parent, good morning. Thank you so much for a beautiful spring day. Thank you so much for your love in our life. If we reflect, we can see that you have been loving us in so many different ways. You have been loving us since before we were born, through our parents and our grandparents. And your love continues through your lineage and continues to our children and into the future. Heavenly Parent, I pray that we can appreciate all the love that comes to us, even if we don't always see it or we just see the results of it. We can really give appreciation where appreciation is due and really help our elders to feel their crucial and important role that they play in this world, and that we can recognize that without our grandparents, without our grandmothers, that humanity really couldn't survive. Heavenly Parent, you really show your face through the faces of our parents and our grandparents. I pray that we can go into this week and with a loving heart, remembering and focusing on the things that are important, just like the things that are in the family pledge. Heavenly Parent, sometimes it's easy to skim through it or think that maybe they're just words, it doesn't make that much difference, but you invested so much heart and care into our teachings, and that there's a lot of applications for them when we take the time. We want to offer this Sunday to you and this beautiful day and our relationships and our love, and I pray this in my name, Michael and Adonia Hendrick, a Blessed Central family. Amen and adieu. Okay, thank you.